Live from the Export Beer Garden studio and brought to you by Export Ultra, the beer that probably made the Warriors win yesterday. It is the Agenda podcast for Monday, the 20th of May.
The Agenda podcast, the home of sporting nonsense and claptrap. Brought to you by Export Ultra.
Good morning, Lane. It is one of the most improbable wins that you will have ever seen in the National Rugby League. The Warriors got up over the Panthers yesterday. We have to start there.
Oh, I said take the L. We all said take the L.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Dolphins at Go Hard Stadium. I mean, if you go back on the tapes, I went on Hodaki breakfast on Friday and said take the L. Don't bother.
Yeah.
This is not out. But what do you know? I ate my shorts.
Well, this is why. But you were still right. You know what I mean? Like, that was a very improbable win.
Yeah.
I think if you were going around saying that the Warriors have got this one in the bag, they're going to win by 2 points, I think you would have been right for the wrong reasons.
It was an ugly game to watch.
From the get-go, Tane Tuapiki, who's played about 4 or 5 games for the Warriors this season, and from the outset, his first kickoff went dead on the full. And I've only seen this 3 times before, and they were all by Reece Walsh. Now, I suspect Reece Walsh made a lot of money off those, allegedly. But I think that Tane Tuapiki just overcooked it. Just too much mana. The lights were too bright on Magic Round. And but then turned around to score the try, convert it, and that was enough to put the Warriors in the lead. This is enormous.
I like Tane Tuapiki. He's a hot stepper. He looks slippery. He looks like he potentially should be playing in the halves, not at fullback.
Yeah, I think he should. And he had been playing in the halves as well for the New South Wales Cup team.
Right.
Because you're right, he's a little bit small, and, you know, that's fine, but on defense, he can be a little bit of a turnstile at times.
Yeah.
And that's just due to the fact that he's got, you know, in the NRL, you've got guys that are 6'6" steaming at you.
Yeah.
And you've got to try and contend with that. I thought he had a great game. You could say that he won us the game, and I wouldn't argue with you. But more than anything, this game, it's just a good stake in the ground for the Warriors to be like, here we go, fellas.
Start again.
Let's go. This is exactly what we needed. And I said before the game, we didn't even necessarily need a win. We just needed a gritty performance where we didn't shoot ourselves in the foot, and we got more than that. Now, granted, we still shot ourselves in the foot a few times. But to come away with the win, I think that erases all of that. And I think what actually happened was we made it a dogfight and just beat the Panthers with experience. They're used to being this well-drilled, don't make any mistakes sort of team. Yeah. And then they came in and we had the most bizarre game. Dudes are off, dudes are on. Paul Roach was in there within the first 10 minutes of the game.
I thought he played really well, Roach.
He played excellent.
I think he brought some energy coming into kind of dummy half.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good because they were like, oh no, you know, my Egan's off, Roach, he's got no experience. But I thought he owned it. Yeah,
I think he played maybe 1 or 2 games last year, and he's played 1 this season. It wasn't a great showing from him, but that game, yeah, he was. It was great. And I was just saying to Adam before, because of all of the injuries and HIAs and things we had, at one point I think we had about 5 second rowers out there. And
it was crazy. And that was because I think Egan was gone for an HIA.
Jackson Ford did his shoulder. It was like, and so all of a sudden you've just got 5 basically second rowers and Adam Fanua-Blake out there. And so we had no choice but just to go straight up the nose. And that's exactly what we did. And it looked excellent. You know, we simplified our game plan. I think the probably one critique of us, despite the fact that we won it, is that we didn't really have much on the 6th, but we haven't really all season anyway.
Yeah.
But again, having said all of that, we won, and it was awesome to be able to watch and see that last kick from Dylan Edwards. You couldn't see it from the side-on angle, but you could tell from the Warriors fans in attendance standing out behind the posts that it had missed, and we had won the game.
It was a glorious 30 seconds, wasn't it? Because just before he shanked that kick, Jack Cole did one of the greatest on-field voms you've ever seen.
Yeah.
After getting smashed in the solar plexus by Adam Pompey.
Yeah.
That was one of the great power chunders. And probably not the only power chunder in Suncorp that weekend, I imagine, having a look at some of the people in the crowd.
Yeah, no, and the great part about that is there were 2 more games to be played on that same field after that. So someone definitely got tackled in the spew.
No, it didn't look very chunky though. It just looked like a lot of fluid.
Yeah,
so it would have just washed away. But you wouldn't want your face rubbed in it, would you?
No, absolutely not. Although if you tackled someone and you knew that's where the spew was, you'd give them a little bit of.
It was one of the greats. So that game's going to be, it's going to be remembered for that vom.
Yeah.
Probably more so than the Warriors' victory.
Yeah,
in time.
And I don't know what to read into this in terms of the season. Are we better than the Panthers? Probably not. I mean, yes. Until they beat us, you could probably say yes.
Well, they had Luai on the halves, didn't they? Because they don't have
Cleary's done his
Cleary.
hammy, yeah. And another one, you'll love this, a rugby league scandal. Taylor May has been arrested. That's why he didn't play. Paul Alamotti played for him. He's the guy who got May tattooed across his throat. And then the very next day, there was a video of him on his Instagram story doing 100 past the school in a rented car. And then over the weekend, he was arrested for alleged domestic assault and was removed from the team. So they had a few outs as well. I don't know that this means that we're better than them. What it means, though, is it's just a good bit of fizz for the team. You know what I mean?
I love it. It's good. It's got everyone back fizzed again. They'll have a sold out against the Dolphins this weekend. It'll be great.
Yeah. Do we need to get to Magic Round next year?
Oh, by the looks of it, and by the look of Caxton Street and all the sosh med that was coming out of then, yes.
Yeah.
Should we potentially take 2 days either side of it? Yes.
Yes, 100%. When I found out that the Big Show boys were planning to come home on the Sunday night after the Warriors game, I was like, what?
No,
You're going over for like what a lot of people are calling the Bogan Olympics. And your plan is to come home while there's still games going on? It's just not going to happen.
All the footage I've seen in Caxton, didn't see a lot of women.
No. Maybe like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I did see, you would have seen the photo on either Hodaki or our own social, the couple dressed up with Pinot Noirs written on the front of them.
I
love that.
That
was good. Yeah. Misconception that I hate the Pinot Noirs. I hate people sitting at home calling themselves fans of the Warriors. These guys were over there.
And Magic Round. Drinking wine,
rubbing shoulders, bumping, getting involved. So, we have to get over there for Magic Round. We've got to take some people over.
Yeah, Can we play the Tigers or something?
Yeah.
Can we play a team we're going to hump?
To be fair, I couldn't have thought of anywhere I'd rather be than in that stand when the Warriors beat the Panthers in Magic Round. Like, that will be a historic victory.
Yep.
To be able to say that you were there, I'm very jealous. Hopefully we can get Keezy on the old Mad Monday podcast later on this week. But there'll be a full deep dive out this afternoon from Ben Hurley and Di Henwood. Just peeling. There'll be a lot of money in there.
God.
I can already tell the group chat's fired up. Di's asking Adam to get bits of audio and pieces of music and shit. So that podcast is going to be out of control. Just while we're here and before we take a break, I feel like we need to talk about the PGA because I'm watching it on the screen directly over your shoulder. At the time of recording this, Xander Schauffele is on the 15th hole. He is 20 under with a one-stroke lead over Bryson DeChambeau. Hovland and then Rose is another 4 strokes back from that. So I can't see DeChambeau or Hovland catching him because he's got so many holes in hand, but then he could also have a capitulation.
He could. And what are the chances of having a Scheffler and a Schauffele competing in the top flight of golf?
We live in a simulation,
We
don't
do.
we?
There's a made-up name.
Oh, yeah.
Schauffele.
Yeah, and in number 2, you got Rochambeau. This is bullshit. Victor Hovland is showing up to every tournament stoned out of his mind and just balling, and no one's testing him. They wouldn't even know what the jazz cabbage is on the PGA Tour.
But we just also did discuss the fact that we went and backed Rory McIlroy. Looking for that post-marriage clarity.
Yeah,
we're just saying he's not quite there yet, is he?
No.
He's just letting the dust settle a bit.
I think he's doing that thing where he's just come out of a long-term relationship and he's just like, you know what? I need to figure out who I am.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah,
I'm just going to pump the brakes for a little bit before I get back into it.
And he's gone the wrong way about it. I feel like I see in Rory a man who's gone, now I can really dedicate myself to my craft. No. You need to ring Tiger right now, find out where he is and what he's up to, and go and join him because that is what makes players great. He needs that. First of all, you always need something outside of your sport to just lower the stakes on yourself a little bit.
Correct.
Scottie Scheffler, he said when he won the Masters, he was like, oh, look, I don't care about this. My wife's having a kid. I just want to get back and see that.
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need something outside of the sport. And for Rory McIlroy, I would suggest to him that it is rooting. And I think that he needs to talk to Tiger Woods and just get out there. He's going the wrong way about it. You can see it.
And the big, you just mentioned him, Scottie Scheffler. The big news over the weekend. I saw all the social media light up on Saturday.
Yes.
And I presumed it was a joke because, it had like him in an orange shirt. I thought it was all like photoshopped and it was some sort of meme going around. But then reading that he actually did get arrested and booked, and he got a mugshot and everything for not listening to a police officer.
It was full noise. So there was a car crash outside of Valhalla.
No, yeah, pedestrian got hit by a bus. One of
Oh,
the workers
right.
got, because they got these express lanes with the buses for the staff and everything, and outside Valhalla. And it was like at 5 a.m, because
Yeah.
all the workers were going there.
And so then Scottie was coming to the thing, and apparently traffic was backed up. Is this
Yeah,
what
so
happened?
traffic was backed up. They actually delayed the whole start of the third day because of the accident. And they had a special lane on the inside that had where the players could go because they had to make their tee times.
Yeah.
So they had a special lane, and he was in that, and they didn't recognise him. I think they might have one of those situations where the cop tells you to stop. He goes, no, I'm a player, whatever. And they go, no, stop. And he kept on going.
Yes.
And then the cop ended up on the bonnet of the car, and then he got done for assault, not listening to police officers. They say it was a hit and run. And then they arrested him.
Yeah.
But then he got let go, and then he shot 6 under.
Yeah.
He made his tee time at 10.
That's
shot
what I
6
mean.
under. But he's the most God-fearing dude. If you watch that full swing,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
a full God-fearing, pray before they're round kind of guy. So I don't think it's kind of in him to be involved in a hit and run.
No, but again, it lowers the stakes when he's out on the course because he's already had the hardest part of his day.
And I love it, the commentators, not one mention of it.
Oh, really?
So the whole round he watched it, and they just, as he came into the 18th, not a mention of it until they interviewed him afterwards. And he went, right, look, firstly, condolences to the family of the person that was killed this morning. That was a tragic accident.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take away from that or whatever. And as far as I'm concerned, it was a massive misunderstanding, and I apologize. Blah, blah. And so he just basically explained it. But the commentators they've obviously been told, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it. Shut up. So it was obvious that was all on the tip of their tongue.
That's not what the PGA Tour is all about. As Bryson DeChambeau looks like he's just drained a birdie to tie himself with Xander Schauffele.
Oh.
I think we may have to check the replay on that one. It looked like that was what happened. Yeah, so Scottie Scheffler arrested, then released in time to make his tee time go 6 under. That is...
That's so. I was hoping when I first saw the mugshot, I was
Yeah.
like, yes, he went out and got in the gas and did
Same.
something at a strip club. And then I was so disappointed to read it was actually so innocuous and like just a classic. Like, and all the memes going around with Paul Blatt, more cop, and they were like, they're like, this is the cop that arrested Scheffler.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
No, I love that. I love all the stuff that's come out. Whenever these kind of things happen, there's another meme that I've been either sent or tagged in about 4 times over the weekend, and it's a tweet that someone sent out and said, took a girl home from the bar last night and she kept asking me if I was the 2004 PGA Championship winner the way I was making that VJ sing. So if you're thinking about tagging me in that again, I can...
Just keep getting coming.
I've already seen it. That wasn't DeChambeau tying it. He just held on to his 1-stroke loss. I don't know why I'm recapping this because by the time you listen to this, you'll know whether he's won or lost. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back. There is so much sport yet to digest. The Wellington Phoenix not to be on Saturday night, Lane.
Yeah.
2-1 in extra time. I mean, was it Oscar Zavada who scored the equaliser with about 2 minutes left to go?
In the 89th minute or something?
It was absolutely insane. There was, to be fair, that's probably the one game of soccer that I'll watch this year, but it was going on concurrently with the Blues game that I was calling with Tony Lyle.
Yeah.
And we were flicking back and forth, getting updates. It was so tense. And a packed out Sky Stadium as well.
Yeah, I felt really bad for the Knicks because I saw the 1-0 and I was like, oh, they're done. Melbourne are going to shut up shop. I'll stack the back. Ricky Herbert stacked the back, and I was like, and then I saw a notification on my phone. Ding, 1-1. I was like, you beauty.
Yeah.
And you know what? That brought in my bet as well because I bet on a 1-1 draw. The exact score. 1-1 draw at full time because then that bet comes in. So I was quite happy with that. But then I wasn't really happy with them scoring in extra time.
It was disappointing, but it was still good for the Phoenix to have this groundswell where, if you're a Phoenix fan or a football fan in New Zealand, you know how they're going every year, but it doesn't cross over into the mainstream very often.
But they've lost Zawada.
Yeah, Zawada's gone.
Yeah, Zawada's gone. And did you read much about the other Kiwi that's involved in that match-fixing scandal? He's been arrested. He's a
Where's this?
A-League player over in Australia.
No.
For Macarthur FC.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them have been done and arrested. And it's around spot fixing and around them getting yellow cards. And go and have a look at some of the fouls they did. Some of the fouls they did is like basically a rugby tackle, but sliding in with your feet first across the knees and then just tackling into the ground and getting a yellow card. Spot comes in, the fix is in. So yeah, a bunch of them have been arrested over in the A-League, and that got announced about the same, I think the same evening as the Phoenix lost.
Oh, so did they try and sweep that under the...
Yeah, so maybe Whitewash got involved and said, hey, this is a great semi-final, just do it now, do it now.
Do it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, they would have been waiting for it to go to penalties. They would have told the ref, do whatever you can to make this thing go to penalties.
Because we need to put a press release out.
At that point, we'll put the press release out and no one will see it, because I didn't see it.
Yeah, so there you go. Go and have a look. Some of the fouls are outrageous and obvious. I mean, it must be so obvious. Someone's put $100,000 on a guy getting a yellow card, and then he basically commits the most heinous foul you've ever seen.
Well, that's how Jonte Porter got done, was because DraftKings over in the States was publishing who made the most money over the weekend.
Yeah.
And it was like for 2 days in a row, or 2 weeks in a row, it was like Jonte Porter, bench player for the Toronto Raptors, people betting the unders.
Even like a layperson go, something going on here.
Okay, so this guy doesn't really play. Most fans don't know who he is.
Yep.
So a couple of Jontes over in the A-League.
Yeah, there's a
maybe.
few Jontes. Yeah.
Well, they're going to have to snuff that out. Super Rugby happened over the weekend as well. Not that you'd know it, because there's so much other sport on. The Blues absolutely humped the Landers. As I said, Tony and I commentated that one Saturday night.
Oh, that would have been hard for Tony.
Yeah, it was. It was, but it was quite... I mean, this is something that's unique to the ACC, is also commentating the football at the same time. So we were going back and forth between the two.
I remember commentating a cricket match and the Melbourne Cup at one time, and it was one of the greatest ever bit of sports commentary, because as the horses crossed the finish line, Jason Hoyt called a wicket. So I called the winner, and I was in like a little separate room, and then just as we called the winner, we got a wicket. It was one of the greats.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that you can only get with the ACC. I think we've concurrently called a Warriors and a Super Rugby game at the same time.
That wasn't popular. I would get a lot of feedback about that, and it was not good.
Yeah,
around trying to call, because it was very different games to call. So
yeah, and actually we haven't had as many crossovers because we're not doing the afternoon games this year. But when the Warriors and the Super Rugby's going at the same time, and you got competing text topics, that can get out of control as well. But no. Blues absolutely humped the Landers. It meant nothing to the Blues, I don't think, but the Landers were just outgunned. Crusaders, a heartbreaking loss to the Brumbies. It was contentious as well, a penalty try.
Yeah, they were kicking for a penalty for the lead, about 40 metres out.
The Brumbies were?
Yeah, the Brumbies were kicking in it. It kind of hit the upright and bounced down. And they had chasers there, and our old mate Quentin Strange threw it out, and the dead ball, batted it out, like they do in league.
Yeah.
You see in league, if it's dead and you bat it out, it goes back to
tap and scrap.
Yeah, and that in rugby is foul play. So intentional foul play. But to give a penalty try was an interesting call, because I don't think it was certain that the Brumbies were going to score there. There was 3 other Crusaders around Quentin Strange. There was only 1 Brumbies player. But I suppose because it's intentional, I guess, but surely a penalty try it's going to be a certain try.
Yeah, and the fact that one of the Crusaders players got there first would indicate that it was, Bryson DeChambeau's just finished 20 under. He's tied with Scheffler.
Oh.
Scheffler 2 holes in hand. This is going to be a tense wait for Bryson DeChambeau. But the fact that one of the Crusaders players got there first seemed to indicate it wasn't a sure thing that they would have scored.
I know, but look, regardless, it would have been a penalty.
Yeah.
So, and the penalty was right in front of the posts. So they would have kicked the penalty and won the game. So I think they would have won anyway, but it was just a strange way to finish.
Yeah.
And I think Sever Reese, the severed piece, got interviewed afterwards, and he said that pretty much summarises our season.
That's about how
everything's gone our way this year.
It's another thing that Super Rugby need to fix, is those kind of rules where I don't like the deliberate knockdowns and instant binning either, because what are you supposed to do in that instance?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But if you knock it up and then catch it again,
or if you pretend that you were trying to tackle the guy and then you knock it.
Mind you, I saw Penrith do that a couple of times against the Warriors, and it really pissed me off.
Yeah.
They just slapped it down the pass down. I was like, ugh.
It is, but then it's also like, well, then you've got to get creative with the passes, because they can't, because they can just knock it down. And it is a knock on. I know that they wanted to get that out of the game because it's cynical, but I'll tell you what's more cynical is binning a bloke for doing it.
Yeah.
So there's a few of those things. I loved that, and a decent turnout for the Blues, just going back to them quickly as Hovland misses another putt. He's cooked, I think. The Blues had a band. They had like a marching band at the ground.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. To be fair, it was weird, but at least they were doing something, you know.
Totally. I love that. Like, were they just marching around on the field or
I didn't see
in the
them.
stands?
I didn't see them, but at random points throughout the game, like, what the hell is this? So I quite like that. I don't really know what that's got to do with the Blues, but they did something, you know? They had a crack.
And you told me something. I went on Haraki breakfast this morning and said the Crusaders are cooked for the season. Hang up the boots. They're done.
Yeah.
But you said they could possibly still make the top 8.
Anytime the word mathematical gets thrown about, you know, you're in deep, deep shit. But they are a mathematical chance to make the 8. And this is basically by virtue of the fact that there are only 12 teams and 8 of them make the comp. They are 5 points back from the Drua.
Yes.
And there's 2 games left to go in this season. There's 4 points for a win and there's 1 point for a bonus point. So there's a couple of ways they can make it, but they both rely on the Fijian Drua losing their next 2 games, who are against the Highlanders and then the Reds.
And are they playing at home or away? Do you know?
I'm not sure, but that is a very good point because the Drua have the biggest home court advantage in Super Rugby. So, but basically what needs to happen is they need to lose both of those.
Yeah.
The Crusaders play the Blues and then Moana Pacifica. Now, they're going to lose to the Blues. If they can sneak a bonus point in there, that's going to help them quite a bit. But and then they need to beat Moana Pacifica with a bonus point.
Okay.
Is basically what needs to happen.
So it's possible.
It's possible. The Drua need to lose both games. They're currently in 8th. They need to lose both games. Then the Crusaders need to win at least one of them. They need to win more. Realistically, they need to beat Moana Pacifica by 20-something points.
Okay, the Drua are away to the Highlanders. They're playing at the Sistema.
Helpful. They could probably still win that one, though.
And they're playing at home against the Rebels in the last round.
Oh, the Rebels. Oh, I thought it was the Reds.
No,
Yeah.
against the Rebels is the last one, and that is going to be in Fiji.
Yeah, so they're probably winning that one. But look, I don't know. I'm just saying.
So basically, they're relying on the Drua to choke the last 2.
The thing is, even if they do get in, you know, they haven't really fired a shot so far this season.
But you wouldn't want to be the Blues playing the Crusaders in the first knockout.
No, you wouldn't.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, anytime you got to get the calculator, the abacus out to figure out how a team's just going to make the playoffs, by the way.
Yeah, and the Chiefs, they just beat the Rebels by 3 points. I'm a bit worried about my beloved Chiefs because they're currently sitting 4th on the table, which would make them play the 5th place team.
Which is?
Reds. Which are a niggly team for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They've knocked them over a few times, the Chiefs. And remember last year's semi-final?
Yeah.
They only beat them by a couple of points in the last few minutes of the game. So it gives me the shits a little bit with the Chiefs finishing down the table a little bit and end up playing the Reds as their first knockout.
Yes, but at least they would have home field advantage.
They would.
And they have a decent one in Hamilton because the city goes nuts.
Yeah, that's true.
When the Chiefs are playing there. So, yeah. Interesting stuff, and it's good to see a little bit of parity in Super Rugby this year.
Oh, yeah.
There's
way more Australian teams in there than I thought.
Yeah.
You got the Brumbies, Reds, Rebels are all in the top 8.
Yeah, and the Rebels probably won't be in the comp next year. So it's going to be exciting. As I said, 2 weeks left to go in the regular season, then we're into the playoffs. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back to wrap this thing up. We've been talking about Scottie Scheffler. I'm just watching Xander Schauffele on the 16th hole. He's hit one out of the bunker to the apron of the green.
Oh!
And he may have a little bit of work to do there. He's still tied with DeChambeau, who's finished.
He's got to go up and down here.
On 20 under. He needs to go up and down here, and the body language does not look good. The National Basketball Association, big weekend of basketball across the weekend. The Mavs are through, as your son will have told you.
He did.
Pacers v Knicks was going on at the time that we walked into the studio, and as I check my app, the Pacers have eliminated the Knicks and my 12-leg multi to move through to the next round. But the exciting Game 7 is happening this afternoon. It's probably going to be on by the time that you're listening to this. It is on at 12 lunchtime, and it is the Timberwolves versus the Nuggets. So this
the Nuggies.
The Nuggies, this is last year's champions, the Joker versus the team that I told you to watch out for this playoffs, and that is the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards is getting a lot of Michael Jordan comparisons.
Yeah.
Not just because of the stats he's putting up, but the way he plays. He looks like Michael Jordan. He has all the same moves. The comparisons may be a little too early, but if he knocks out the Nuggets, this is going to be massive. So productivity around the office may be slow this afternoon. Fury versus Usyk was over the weekend as well. This one kind of snuck under the radar for us here in New Zealand. But Usyk beat Fury. He absolutely rocked him in the 9th round, forcing the referee's count, standing 8 count, and that was a 10-8 round. That was enough for him to win. Usyk is now the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis in the year 2000.
So he's unified all the punishing belts.
He has unified all of the belts, and I would like to launch a petition here on the Agenda podcast to melt the belt.
Yeah.
Melt them all down and just make one.
Yeah, it got so confusing there for a while about who was heavyweight champion.
Joseph Parker had one of them.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz had a couple, then someone else had some.
So did you just make up another association, just make up another belt? Is that how it works?
Yeah, we could theoretically have the ACC belt. There's the WBO, the IBF, the IBO, all these different organisations.
But Usyk, he got his jaw broken, didn't he, at the same time?
Yeah.
So carried on. Must have got a bit of chin music from Fury.
Oh, yeah, no, Fury, nobody has the ability to come back from being rocked like Tyson Fury. But Usyk just looked a class above. Well, obviously Fury's always going to look good because he's 6'10" and he's going to belt them. Like you said, broke his jaw.
Yeah.
But it was just that flurry in the 9th round was basically it was all downhill from there for Fury, despite the fact that he did rally back. But like I said, it's been too confusing for too fucking long.
Melt the belt.
Usyk's got an opportunity to do so. You know what? You know what Putin would respect out of Ukraine? Because Usyk's Ukrainian. What he would respect is for Zelensky to be like, hey, as a gesture of goodwill, we're going to melt the belt. And there's only going to be one, and then we'll fight whoever you guys got, bring some Rusky out.
Yeah.
And let's settle this. Send your champion,
Yep.
we'll send our champion. There's only one belt now, they'll have it.
Yeah.
And Usyk versus whoever you guys have got. Let's end this nonsense.
It's a big fight, though, isn't it? Because obviously, if Usyk lost, you have to cede the whole of Ukraine.
That'll be tough. That'll be tough news for Vladimir to break. It's like, yeah, look, I'm sorry. I really thought Usyk was going to win that one. And probably came back a bit too quick from the broken jaw. So
yeah, a lot riding on his shoulders. An entire sovereignty of a whole entire country.
Yeah, but boxing is lost a lot of audience because, think about when Lennox Lewis had unified the belts around that 2000. There was David Tua was in there. It was heavyweight boxing was still heavyweight boxing. And up until Fury recently, it hasn't been that. And I think it's because of that confusion. There needs to be one unified belt, and that's it.
The confusion and the rise of UFC, which was far simpler to understand. And one league, one belt.
That's exactly right. And the UFC's thing from the get-go was it's all about the UFC, and it doesn't matter who the fighter is.
Yeah.
They're never going to be bigger than the UFC. Conor McGregor said, who the fuck is that guy? And then became bigger than the UFC. But their thing has always been you tune in to watch the UFC, it all happens here. There's no confusion around who's, what's, where, blah, blah, blah. We make the fights, and I think that heavyweight boxing could stand to do a lot better. Like that would be the first step. And also, obviously, ending the war. That's another big thing for that. So, yeah, melt the belt.
Big news from kids' sport in the weekend.
Yes.
My eldest son got beaten 107-7.
Hold on. Now, hold on. Stop. Let me guess what sport. Because I can't figure out. 107-7, I'm going to say rugby. Yeah. Holy shit.
So the division he is in is wildly different because he beat a team 55-0 the week before. So God help that team that comes up against this team. Anyway, Kumu, they're quite little tough buggers out there.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was a tough day at the office, and it was even tougher as a parent sitting on the sideline and watching your team get absolutely humped by 100 points.
So what, they're up by 50 at halftime. You're like, fuck. Another 40. Okay, you just go over to the ref and just like, whatever you can do to make this game go as fast
That's
as
what I
possible.
said. I was screaming, he's dead already. And the only bit of satisfaction I had, it was played at the North Shore Rugby Club, which is right in the heart of Devonport. So the only bit of satisfaction I had was, because some of the kids were hooping and hurling and being fucking idiots when they scored 100, and parents went much better. Only bit of satisfaction I had was, you know what? Fuck you guys, you're going to be stuck in your car for the next hour and a half getting out of Lake Road. And that was, well, I'm going to walk home, you pieces of crap.
Take that.
Take that. Take your 100 points and shove it up your car, right?
All right, well, let's knock this thing on the head. We'll go and watch the last couple of holes as Scheffler holds on to the 20 under. He's got one hole left to play. You'll know who's won by the time that you're listening to this. But we will be back tomorrow to play out your voicemails on Yours Please. We'll see you then.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast, brought to you by Export Ultra. For more episodes, like and follow on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.